Was it the story about Kate Middleton? Because I am excited and ready to talk about this, about Kate Middleton. Recollections may vary.
Yes, this is the story. Isn't that story? But we will talk about that. This is the story of apparently the statement that was released by the palace after the Oprah Winfrey interview by the Ginge and the Winge.
Yeah, and Valentine Lowe actually teased this on my podcast, To Die For Daily. He said, I've got a big story coming out about Catherine, the Princess of Wales. So, of course, my you-know-what was in a knot, because I couldn't wait to find out what it was. And this does not disappoint, Cristo. We are finding out that I think the most iconic portion of the statement released after the Oprah Winfrey interview, recollections may vary. That was a statement that was suggested by a brand new employee of William and Catherine. She'd only been there about 3 weeks, I believe. And there was a big debate about whether or not to keep that sentence within the statement. And it was William and Catherine, but specifically Catherine, that pushed to leave the sentence, recollections may vary, in the post-Oprah statement. And her opinion was, this is going to go down in history. We have to come down harder. People are going to remember us for this moment. And, you know, I think we're seeing Catherine a little bit in her boss girl era. I think that this is like a good era for her.
Yeah, because she was, you're quite right. The statement says, you know, whilst recollections may vary, you know, we're sorry to hear that Harry and Meghan had a terrible time. They remain valued members of the family.
Love them. They're valued members of the family.
And all of this. But it was the whilst recollections may vary, which was the absolutely iconic line, the line that everyone referred to, and it was sort of subtle yet deadly is probably how I would describe that line, because it was brilliantly subtle in saying, well, you know, recollections may vary, but if you looked beyond that you saw them essentially saying, we're not sure we completely believe your version of events. But they were saying it in a very, very subtle and very, very regal way. And as you're quite right, Valentine Lowe, in his latest book, I think it's called Courtiers, isn't it?
Yes, this is an updated version, because it does exist already. There is an older version out.
And in that book, he says, actually, it was Kate that pushed, the now Princess of Wales, that really pushed for this line to be in the statement, because, as you're quite right, she was saying that history will judge this, and if we don't put out something to say, look, you can't take this as fact, in decades, in even centuries to come, people will look at the words of Harry and Meghan and take them as fact.
Right. Absolutely. And if you look at other parts of that statement, I believe it was, you know, they're valued and loved members of they will always be valued and loved members of the royal family. There was a softness about it, but I absolutely believed that was coming from Queen Elizabeth II. In fact, I had made some lip balm that sold out pretty quickly on my website that said recollections may vary, with a great picture of Queen Elizabeth on it. So I think we all really thought that was coming from Queen Elizabeth. To hear that came from Kate is honestly refreshing and exciting, and I think gives us a little tease of what's to come.
But have you seen that there's been a little bit of a Twitter backlash as well about that? And a few people have gone on Twitter. I mean, there's a backlash on Twitter about everything. I mean, genuinely, I could sneeze, there would be a backlash on Twitter. But people have gone on Twitter to say, well, actually, no, it's wrong to presume that it's not actually the steeliness of Queen Elizabeth that came up with that. Why are you taking this away from the late Queen Elizabeth in making that statement and attributing it to Kate?
I think,
what do you say to that?
Cristo, I mean, it is our job as journalists to report the truth. So if someone in the room reported to Valentine Lowe that Catherine, the Princess of Wales, put her foot down and said, I want to include this, while we know that Queen Elizabeth was unfortunately gravely ill then it's Valentine Lowe's job to repeat what he's heard, because that is the truth. You know,
it's the truth that that's what's been reported to him. I don't know if we can say it's the truth, but we can say it is true in as much as Valentine Lowe has been told that.
Assuming that Valentine Lowe is an honest person, and let's be honest, Harry and Meghan have threatened to sue him in the past, and it never came to fruition. And these are two very litigious individuals. If we're assuming that this is a truthful individual who we know has plenty of attorneys at his beck and call combing over his content to determine whether or not what he's saying is dangerous or not, I'm going to assume it's the truth, but I get so sick and tired of these royal watchers that are mad when we report things that we know to be true. I got backlash when I reported that I heard that Prince Charles, at the time, Prince Charles Palace, would release negative stories about Prince Harry to cover up negative stories about Prince William, because Prince William was was an inevitable heir. That was the truth. Why are you tearing into me? It's history is history, and this is such a delicate family where history is so important. I don't understand how these people can get fired up about us repeating the truth.
Can I say something else? And I almost think that whether it is I think, again, when I say true, I think it's true it was told to Valentine Lowe. I don't believe Valentine Lowe has made it up. What I'm saying is that sometimes someone's sources exaggerate or don't get the version of events right. I believe that Valentine Lowe was told this. It's whether the person that told him is completely accurate, whether he's verified that source. But the point that I would like to make is this. Let's assume that actually it did come from Queen Elizabeth, and that within Chinese whispers or somehow it is being attributed wrongly to Kate, right? I don't think Queen Elizabeth would care. I think Queen Elizabeth would actually be happy that it was being attributed to Kate, because, again, Queen Elizabeth was all about the succession. And if the future Queen gets credit for something that is positive within the royal family, even if it didn't come from that future Queen, the Queen as she was, Queen Elizabeth, I believe, would probably just say, you know what, that's fine, because it is all about the succession. I have no problem with that. And so I actually do believe it came from Kate. I believe that Valentine Lowe is a really good source. But the point is, those people who are complaining, oh, my God, it probably was Queen Elizabeth, you know what? She wouldn't care. She wouldn't care that it wasn't being attributed to her, because this shows that the succession is in safe hands.
I agree with you. Absolutely. 100%.
And also it shows that Kate, the Princess of Wales as she is now, Kate as she was at the time, is steelier than perhaps we think. And that a lot of commentators say she plays the long game. And she's really focused on raising the children. She's really focused on being a good wife, really focused on sort of just keeping her head down and making sure that her duties are carried out. And eventually, you always have a tough time when you join the family, but eventually the public fall in love with you for that, and you become a national treasure.
She is absolutely, and I'm using the word absolutely too much, but she is definitely a national treasure. I think that's disappointing that there's backlash over it. I think, we want the future of the monarchy to appear strong. I think we desperately want somebody to put their foot down when it comes to Harry and Meghan. So the idea that Catherine it is strong enough to say, no, we need to be firmer when it comes to them, we need to push back when it comes to them, gives me some hope that they might shut them up in the future.